Come on. Hello, everybody. How are you? Thank you very, very much for coming today, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see you. I've got with me. I've got Tanya Steele, who is the chair of the World Wildlife Fund, which is a wonderful organisation that campaigns for nature around the world. But the reason we wanted to get this group in today was because we've got a very important summit coming up in just a few days' time, and perhaps the most important summit that this country has had in our lifetimes. And this is the opportunity for the world to try to stop climate change getting out of control. You know what I mean by climate change? To stop the temperatures from going up and up and up, and to keep the increase to 1.5 degrees by the end of this century. We've got to keep it, we've got to stop it overheating. And the only way we can do that is by getting everybody to agree, all the world leaders to agree to reduce their output of greenhouse gases, because as you know, the gases are kind of swaddling the earth like a tea cozy, if you know what I mean by a tea cozy. And they're stopping they're creating this greenhouse effect that makes it hotter and hotter. And the way to do that is to get everybody to commit to reducing CO2, reducing carbon dioxide, reducing the amount of coal that we use, stopping using cars with internal combustion engines, making sure that we have hundreds of billions of dollars to help countries around the world to adopt green technology and to plant gazillions of trees. I mean, I can't tell you the number, but we need to halt and reverse the deforestation of the planet. So we need to plant so many trees that we stop the deforestation of the planet by 2030. So that's the plan for the COP summit. We need as many people as possible to agree to go to net zero, so that they're not producing too much carbon dioxide by the middle of the century. Now, I think it can be done. It's going to be very, very tough, this summit, and I'm very worried because it might go wrong, and we might not get the agreements that we need, and it's touch and go. It's very, very difficult, but I think it can be done. And I think if you look at what the UK has done, we've cut our own CO2 emissions massively. We've cut coal emissions massively. When I was a kid, when I was your age, 80% of our energy came from coal. Do you know what it is now? Anybody? It's about 1%. So we've got solar power, we've got wind power, we've got all sorts of ways of producing energy in a more carbon efficient way, in a more green way. But listen, that's what we've got to do. Now I'm gonna go to you because you're all journalists. Is that right? Yes. And this is the dangerous moment now when I'm going to ask you to ask your questions, and then Tanya and I are going to do our best to answer them. So let's go first to Alice from Liverpool.
When COVID happened, we reacted quickly and treated it like an emergency. Why are we not doing the same for climate change?
Right. Well, Alice, thank you very much, and that's, I think, a very fair criticism of the world, because I think that people are a bit, they don't think about it with the same urgency, perhaps as with COVID, and they need to. And the scientists were right about COVID, and I think that they're right about climate change too. They're right that this is a problem that is really dangerous for the planet, and we need to fix it. So we are getting as urgent as we can, and we're trying to get the whole world to focus and to agree on net zero by 2050. And if you think about it, it was only a couple of years ago that the UK, we were the first country in the world to legislate for net zero. And when we took over the running of the COP summit, I think about 20% of the world had committed to net zero. We've now got 80% of the world's economies committing to it. So we are speeding up. But Alice, I share your alarm about where we need to be. I think world leaders really need to grip it now. And the people who are worried are the people in the small island states in the developing world, places like Bangladesh, which face potentially catastrophic flooding as a result of climate change. So we've got to be urgent on their behalf. Tanya.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps PM, if I may add. Alice, that's an excellent question. The science is telling that this is an emergency and we need to take action now as well as in the future. We know we've got lots of innovation, lots of commitments, but what are the actions that world leaders are taking right now to ensure that we're not putting too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? But also, what are we doing that can help it in terms of restoring nature? Nature is one of our heroes in helping to tackle climate change. It draws down so much carbon. And as the PM's highlighted, what about all those communities that actually haven't contributed to climate change and are being impacted today through floods, through fires? How can we help pay our fair share of helping them to make some of the adaptations too?
Dead right. Thanks, Tanya. Chiara from North London. Yes.
We know that, the dangers of climate change. What one thing could you commit to do to help tackle it?
I think the best thing I can do is do what I've just said, which is we've got more than 100 leaders coming to Glasgow. It's going to be the biggest gathering of world leaders since the pandemic began, the biggest gathering of world leaders in this country for a very long time. And I've got to get them to agree to save the planet. And it means each of them making some sacrifice. Each of them have got to agree to do something that's difficult for them, whether it's stop using coal-fired power stations or give some money to help the developing world or start using electric vehicles. These things won't be easy. Or to make a commitment to get to net zero by 2050. That's a difficult thing to do. You see, Tanya's point about the developing world, we've been putting the CO2 into the atmosphere. The UK, we had the first industrial revolution in the world. We began putting burning coal to create iron and steel and so on. And it all started basically in the Midlands in the UK, and 200 years ago or more. So we've been at it for a very long time, whereas other countries haven't been as guilty, if you like, of putting the CO2 into the air, and so we've got to lead. So that's my commitment to try to. But can you think of a better one, Tanya?
I can add to it always. Yes. PM, I think we must get world leaders to make commitments. Leadership's a privilege, and a commitment is one thing. What are the plans in terms of the action? We need to ensure that's underway. I think I would also ask business leaders to play their part. They
Yes.
pretty much help look after and create nearly 60% of the world's economy. So how are they ensuring that we're tackling climate change, but actually making it easier for all of us in terms of the goods we buy or the things that we consume, that we know that it's not costing the earth and it's protecting everybody's futures as well.
Dead right. Thank you. Rahul from Egham.
We know that 8 million tonnes of plastic is being dropped into the ocean each year. So what initiatives are you introducing to reduce plastic use, especially in the food sector?
Well, the plastic is a massive problem, and you've seen what's happening with marine life is being choked by plastic. Turtles are dying of plastic. It's turning up in the organs of virtually every marine animal, and plastic is starting to be found within our own organs. I mean, I think I got this right, haven't I? Microplastics are turning up absolutely everywhere. So we've got a real problem, Rahul, with plastics. The UK is moving away from. We've banned plastic stirrers and straws and so on. We charge for plastic bags, but everybody's got to learn to use much less plastic, and particularly the packaging industry, not just food, but everybody, the whole thing. Look at the stuff when you buy clothes. Everything's covered in plastic. So we've got to move away from that.
I think, PM, if I might add, I think we need to move away from single-use anything. And we're seeing plastic is clogging our rivers, our seas, and we're actually seeing some of the pollution that follows as well. So how do we ensure that what we're consuming actually isn't adding to that? And do we have some of the recycling processes in place to ensure that we have what we sometimes call a circular economy, that the output of one process becomes the input of the next process? And that's where we need, again, some really smart, not just ideas, but also commitments to ensure that we are starting to have no plastic in nature anywhere in the world. And that's the kind of commitment I know we need moving forward.
And you can do it. I mean, you can. There are ways of moving beyond plastic, making stuff out of seaweed, banana leaves, coconut, all kinds of stuff, and it works. We just need to do it and to get on and do it. There are about 12 companies at the moment, 12 big corporations that are producing the overwhelming bulk of the world's plastics. Big famous drinks companies that you may know, that I won't name. I don't know why not, but I won't name them. Coca-Cola, for instance, and others, which are responsible for producing huge quantities of plastic, and we've got to move away from that, and we've got to find other ways of packaging and selling our stuff, because it's ending up in the ecosystem.
I think also plastic can
was I
be...
being unfair blaming
No. I was actually saying that plastic's quite symbolic as well.
Name some other ones.
No, I won't name any at the moment, but I was actually, and I know that many of the children and young people here know that plastic is often quite symbolic of how we're treating our world in terms of either throwing things away, not respecting, not looking after, sometimes very, very precious resources. So we do need to think about our economies for the future as well, in terms of ensuring that we're looking after all our resources, that we're not wasting anything, and we're certainly not throwing it into rivers or into oceans as well, that we need to take care of our resources, because we've only got one planet, and certainly only one planet shop. It can only keep giving us so many resources.
Dead right. Morgan from Cardiff.
What can we do to protect our oceans and marine wildlife?
Well, Morgan, what we can do is we can protect huge areas of the ocean, and say that you can't fish in them, and you can't use them for anything except the protection, the conservation of nature. And what we want to do is to ensure that 30% of the seas and oceans in the world are so protected, so that they become wildlife reserves by 2030. So it's the 30-30 campaign. And the UK, you may not know this, but the UK has huge amounts of sea. We around the Antarctic, around Tristan da Cunha in the Atlantic, we have a third of the world's emperor penguins are British. Do you know that? They are. So we can protect these marine areas, and that's what we're doing.
And again, PM, if I might add that our oceans they're like the beating blue heart of our planet in terms of the role they play in certainly supporting so much life, but also in terms of drawing down so much carbon from the atmosphere. So it's only healthy oceans that will enable us to do it. And we need to protect them, but we also need to ensure that some of the regulations are a bit stiffer. They're often they're what we call paper parks. There isn't enough supervision, there isn't enough stopping of overfishing, and actually also some of the kinds of fishing are taking far too many fish out of the sea. And if we don't have a healthy ocean, that's really bad for marine life. It's also really bad in that it cannot help us counteract climate change for the future. So if anything, we need more action and more legislation, but actually more monitoring to ensure that we look after our oceans for the future.
Thank you very much. Lucas from Dundee.
I'm from Scotland. Do you think world leaders are listening to us, and do you think COP26 will make a difference?
Lucas, I do think that world leaders are really starting to listen. To get back to Alice's question at the beginning, I think that they are starting to see how urgent this is and what an emergency this is. I've talked to a lot of them in the last few weeks, and they're making some good commitments. So I told you about the 2050 pledge. So you're not emitting, you're not a net producer of CO2 anymore by the middle of the century. I think the Australians have just decided to do that. Now that was actually very difficult for Australia because Australia is very heavily dependent on coal, on lots of carbon producing industries, and they've done a heroic thing, the Australians, in getting to that commitment, and I hope that they'll be joined by lots of other countries, or lots more countries in that region for the COP summit. So I think the way it works is that everybody there's a lot of peer pressure at the summit, and I think that people feel that they want to follow the example of their friends and their neighbours, and that will have a good effect on the outcome. I hope, but it's very, very far from clear that we'll get the progress that we need.
I'd perhaps just add, Lucas, I do think world leaders are listening to the science more, and the science is unequivocal. And the science tells us that we have to keep global warming to 1.5 degrees. We don't have a choice. Otherwise, it will make for a much more unstable future, and we know we will lose a lot. We know at 1.5 degrees we will lose 70% of our coral reefs. At 2 degrees we'll lose them all. So this is a really important moment, the most important summit in a generation. And I know in my conversations, I do ask world leaders to listen to young people. You might be 27% of the world's population, but young people are 100% of the future. So it is critical that your voices are heard.
Thank you. We're going to go to some virtual questions now, I think, from Olivia in County Down in Northern Ireland. Olivia, hi.
I'm Olivia Devaney, and I am 7 years old, and I'm from County Down. I am worried that the plastic gets into the ocean and the animals get stuck in it and die. My mum uses a reusable cup, and I use a reusable water bottle, and we use reusable plastic-free toothbrushes. So what are we going to do to make sure that people and businesses use less plastic? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olivia. What about reusable toothpaste? Do you have a reusable toothpaste dispenser?
Not yet.
No, that's a development that we need to encourage. We need to have municipal toothpaste or something or other. We'll work this out later. But we need to. Well, look, the issue with plastics is that it's not recycling isn't the answer. I've got to be honest with you. Recycling is just. You're not going to like this. It doesn't begin to address the problem. You can only recycle plastic a couple of times, really, and what you've got to do is stop the production of plastic, stop the first use of plastic. The recycling thing is a red herring, and you're quite right in what you say about the damage to marine wildlife. We've all got to cut down on our use of plastic. I think that's the only answer.
I mean, I would add to that. I think we have to reduce, we have to reuse. I do think we need to do a little bit of recycling, PM, and have some system to do so. But
it doesn't work. I don't want to be doctrinaire about this, but it's just not. If people think that we can recycle our way out of the problem, we'll be making a huge mistake. We need to reduce.
We need less.
We need far less. We need, and we also need to restore the balance of nature.
We do. I think what I would say is two things. I think we could do with a level playing field and perhaps even more legislation in place to help companies who want to make some of these changes. I guess the other thing is, and certainly as we were saying before, Olivia, is that plastic is a visible example of how much we're damaging nature,
Yes.
whether this is on land and whether this is on sea, in terms of what are we doing to our rivers, actually how are we damaging so much of our land. Not many people know, but the UK is probably one of the most nature depleted countries on this planet, and that's why there certainly is a lot of movement plans to start to restore our countryside and
Yes.
ensure that we do enable and help farmers actually start to restore it for the future as well. So there's a big job to be done on land and on sea, but also how we're using precious resources too.
Right. Are you in favour, Tanya, of rewilding parts of the UK where possible?
I think we need to bring nature back. I know that some of the young people in this room will know the statistic that our planet, 97% of the mass of mammals on this planet is humans, and our animals,
Yes.
our domestic animals. Just 3% is left for the wild. So
So sad.
do we start to rebalance it? And I think we certainly could start by rewilding our
Yes.
oceans. There's a lot of
We could
space
feed
to
some
do
of the
that.
human beings to the animals.
Well-
That would, couldn't we? That would be.
We could have a vote later and ask if
See.
there's any candidates. But certainly we need to take
mean,
our responsibilities seriously
we do.
and help bring nature back. Because when you give nature the chance, it will recover. It regenerates very, very quickly indeed.
It does. It does. Thank you. Let's go to Aaron and Amber from Sunnyside Primary School in Glasgow.
Hi, Boris. As ocean defenders, we are aware of the importance that the ocean and blue carbon will play in slowing climate change. But when we are reading that seabed dredging can produce as much carbon as the aviation industry, how will you tackle this but support the fishing communities too?
Thank you very much, Aaron and Amber. Look, that is a very, very good question. And I'm against seabed dredging for lots of reasons. First of all, because I think it's against the interests of sustainable fisheries. You dredge up far too much. It's indiscriminate harvesting of everything that's on the seabed, and it does huge damage to the marine environment. So it's disastrous from that point of view. But then I'm against it also from the point of view of climate change, because what you do and Tanya and I were discussing this earlier. Tanya was telling me about this. What you do with marine dredging, with seabed dredging, is that you stir up a lot of the matter at the bottom of the sea, and you release CO2. But you also damage the marine vegetation that is helping to fix the carbon. This whole enterprise is about trying to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide that we're emitting generally, and you're doing huge damage that way. So we want to move away from it. And Aaron and Amber, you will be pleased to know that one of the advantages of moving out of the common fisheries policy is that we can set our own standards and do our own thing, and that is what we're going to do.
So I know we were going to move to some extra questions, PM, as well, weren't we? In terms
Yes. Have we got time for extra questions? No.
No.
We haven't got to. Well, then we've got to fire around everybody. What we should do, Tanya, is I think go around everybody and ask everybody if they have a single question or a single point or question that you would like me to make. And Tanya's going to be in COP as well. But what's the single thing that you would like me to say to other world leaders? Who's got a point so we can zap round in a quick fire way? Let's just go one row at a time. Yes, starting with you.
I would like you to tell other world leaders that they need to start joining in as well, and it's not just the UK that's making an impact.
Yes, will do.
Thank you.
I will certainly tell them that.
Could you please tell the world leaders that they need to start
Cutting CO2?
No, I was going to say that the bushfires in Australia.
Stop the bushfires.
Stop the wildfires.
In Australia, because it's really it's hurting the trees and the animals there.
That's right.
It absolutely
We
right.
need our trees because they help with the CO2.
Yes.
Dead right.
Exactly right.
Absolutely right. And these fires that we're seeing and other floods and so on, these are very often driven by the change in climate and extreme weather patterns that we're seeing as a result. Yes.
Lots of people to help with the air pollution are using electrical cars, but of course to make the electrical cars with the factories, it takes quite a lot of fuel, and it's kind of making, even though it comes with not consequences but good, it gives you like a good result, but the process of doing it isn't the best helping.
Totally right. That's absolutely right. There's no magic answer to any of these problems. Even electric vehicles, although they produce no CO2, there's a lot of CO2 that goes into making them. But overall, it's much less than.
Yeah. On balance,
right? On balance,
it's
it's still a good outcome.
Now, should we go for maybe 3 more questions? Is that?
Why? Are we
I'm
going to have everybody?
If that's
I think
okay.
we're going to go.
I would love everybody.
Come on, this is good. I
If
think
we're allowed.
I think we need to do.
Great.
I'll try and shut up, and we'll just go more quickly. Guess you. Go on.
It's similar. It's also about electric cars because lots of people don't want to buy electric cars because they think that there aren't enough electric charging spaces
Yes.
around. So if you actually want to drive, then it will be easy to run
Yes.
out. So that if there were more, then it would encourage more people to
Yes.
buy electric cars.
Yes. Thank you. Actually, most people will be able to charge their electric cars at home, but you'll never be more than 30 miles from an electric vehicle charging point. We'll make sure that that happens. We're putting in huge numbers of EV charging points. Yes.
Lots of people around the world would like more green spaces, and I think that would be a really good thing for the climate because having trees and plants around is good for the air pollution and the CO2 emissions.
Very healthy.
Completely right.
We need 1 trillion trees on this planet, so big job to do.
We've got 3 trillion at the moment.
We need an extra trillion.
We're going to need 4 trillion trees. You want an extra trillion?
Extra trillion,
right.
absolutely.
Okay. Yes.
To stop using more plastic in the supermarket because mostly with fruit and vegetables you don't really need as much
That's totally right.
plastic. It's not really necessary.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Why don't you lower the prices of electric cars and solar panels if you're wanting to help the climate?
Thank you. They will get lower as more and more people start to use them. And I was talking to some manufacturers who are going to bring much cheaper EVs to market very, very soon. Yes.
I think that you should tell the world leaders to stop burning for the countries to stop burning the fossil fuels, and so there can be a more affordable way and a more sustainable way of getting around and keeping on the lights in the house and stuff like that.
Dead right. So we want to stop everybody burning coal by 2040, and in the developed world we want to stop it by 2030. So we want to go as fast as possible.
I just wanted to ask a really quick question, whether you're still going to support new coal mines being created in the UK.
We don't want to support new coal mines, but what we want to do is to continue our progress towards a zero carbon future, and that's our approach.
I would like you to incentivize industries to be eco-friendly in the materials that they use.
Okay, we're certainly going to do that.
To help reduce carbon emissions, all schools should have electric minibuses that pick up and drop off children.
Wow, that sounds like a brilliant idea. Okay, we're putting forward, we're financing loads of zero carbon buses, but we want to get to zero carbon buses as fast as possible, or even hydrogen buses you could do,
or eco schools,
or you could walk, or you could cycle to school. Who cycles to school?
Great.
Fantastic. Who walks to school? That's the stuff.
Wow.
That's the way to do it. Okay, good.
So something that I just like you to tell the world leaders is that everyone's saying to like stop burning coal and stuff, but some people in some places they're doing that so that they can have money to put food on the table and stuff. So what are some things that you like might do to like so that those people can because yeah.
I understand. You're completely right, and it's not fair on countries that are very poor to ask them to make these sacrifices when they need to develop and to grow. So we're putting in $100 billion a year is what we want that the COP summit to agree that in order to help those countries on the path to net zero.
PM, is it fair to say that some of the most developed countries are taking on harder targets as a result to really start to get to net zero
like the
quicker?
UK. I mean, our target is incredible. But we've already cut CO2 by 44% on 1990 levels, but the economy has grown massively. Who wants to come in? Come, I think we're almost there. Yes.
I'd like you and the world leaders to explain how can we make farmers take a look at their land and how they can use it to feed people more sustainably.
I think that farmers are longing to do that and to have a zero carbon future. Agriculture, unfortunately, does produce a lot of greenhouse gases. It's one of the biggest problems. Cows burp a great deal and emit gases, and we have to encourage them to stop burping, and we can do that.
Okay, and perhaps if I may,
breeding them.
Breeding, but
also feeding them seaweed.
Seaweed is an answer. I mean, the number thing we have to do is stop burning fossil fuels. That is the quickest way to help move us. But quickly, from a food perspective, PM, that is the second area of global emissions. It's nearly a quarter of global emissions. So we've got a big job to do in terms of what we eat, but how we help farmers as well.
Yeah. Who's next?
Yeah. Tell the world leaders that all schools should have solar panels on their roofs and plant at least 2 trees. I know this will be expensive, but I think we can do it.
Okay, we'll ultimately that will be the kind of thing the kind of solution we have everywhere. But there's a lot of pressure for solar. Yes.
Could scientists make yogurt pills for cows that stops them creating greenhouse gases?
Yogurt pills? That could be. I thought it was seaweed, but now you say it's yogurt. That could be very. I honestly don't know, but we're making progress in breeding cows that burp less. I'm told, which is they're more polite cows.
I would like to know what sacrifices you and world leaders would make to make our world a better place.
I'd certainly encourage everybody to stop using hydrocarbon cars, and I'd love to get back on. I used to ride everywhere by bicycle, which was a wonderful life. Anyway, yes.
I'd like you to tell the people around the world that we should stop using we still can, but we should stop using a lot of electricity a lot of the time, even when you don't need to. Because all the icebergs are melting.
You're dead right. We've got to consume less too. I'm sorry to say, we need to turn the lights off when you're not using them, that kind of thing. Yes? Who's next?
I would like you to tell the world leaders to encourage more people to eat less meat or to have plant-based diets.
Right, okay. Who hands up, everybody here who eats no meat. Really? Hands up who eats meat.
I eat less meat than you.
You eat lots of meat.
Not lots, but...
No, right, okay. But you think we should have plant-based diets? Well, I can see. I think in the future, I think in the future we will move away from eating as much. I think that already science is developing meat substitutes that are basically engineered in the lab, aren't they? That are very like meat, and you won't be able to tell the difference between a bioengineered hamburger and I'm serious, and a real hamburger, and that will be the future very, very soon. I mean, it's already here, I think.
It is, definitely. And I think there's also things we could do to mix up our meals, maybe a bit less meat and put some beans in. It can still be really tasty, but great for our climate. So it's making...
Lentils. Stir in the lentils.
Lentils or just beets are tasty in a lasagna or something. It can be really good. Beans.
Oh, beans. I
Beans,
said beetroot.
for sure.
Yeah, beetroot. I wouldn't put beetroot
But
in
it can be-
lasagna.
No, definitely not. No, that's a bad night of cooking for sure.
Go on, yes.
This is my design of a water-powered car, and I hope you can consider it.
A water-powered car. Fantastic idea. Thank you. Like a steam car, a steam engine, or
Yeah, it stops putting holes in the atmosphere and stops emissions, a bit like the electric cars.
fantastic. Well, we should. I think that's right. You mean a hydrogen? It could well be. Yes. So, Alice, I think you've had a question, but go on.
I'd already said something, but I think we need to say that even if you're not getting climate change is not affecting you, we need people to understand that it's affecting other people, and we need to not just think about yourselves.
Yeah, well, it's about it will affect you, and it will affect everybody. It will affect your children and your grandchildren, so we've got to fix it.
And then we've got the final question.
Last question.
To encourage more people to walk or ride a bicycle, maybe you could make more places like for pedestrians, so people can only walk or ride a bike or scoot.
Beautiful. Yes, I totally agree with that, and we should. I think you've got to be careful sometimes about mixing cyclists and pedestrians too much. Cyclists can still knock over pedestrians. You've got to build proper cycling lanes, which I did in London.
Yes, that's right.
I did a lot of them. Yes, the last question.
The yogurt and seaweed, we should give them to cows because even to people, they do really good effects on the body.
Really?
Yeah.
Yogurt and seaweed. Well, perhaps we're all going to be living on yogurt and seaweed.
It's about healthy
fantastic.
farming, I guess, which is
Yes.
great for the future as well, and great
Yes.
for our landscapes and our rivers as well. It keeps it cleaner and less runoff into those river
Yes,
systems.
yes. Brilliant. Well, thank you all very, very much. Wait, one more question. Sorry.
Well, I don't have a question, but is it okay if I say a way how to stop climate change?
Yes, please.
Maybe you could put some roof gardens on the top of new buildings and at least some vertical gardens on one wall,
Yeah.
so we can get more oxygen and
Yeah.
we can live more, and then we can stop climate change.
Yes, that's a brilliant idea, and we do insist on that now in a lot of places, planting trees on the roofs and creating roof gardens as well. But look, I think thank you everybody for your wonderful contributions. Thank you for all the suggestions. I think all those ideas we're certainly going to be taking up with other world leaders, particularly the basic point that everybody needs now to do what the UK is doing. And so all your ideas are good. Stopping the bushfires, having more and cheaper electric cars, more green spaces with more trees on the roofs, solar panels on the roof, and yogurt and seaweed all round. Fantastic. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you.